Holy cow, it's 8:30 already. It's 8:31. We're late. We're late. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, welcome. We are talking about some pretty cool things tonight, I think, personally. And I'm actually really excited to hear Lindsay share about this stuff because it's stuff that I need to hear as well. I need a refresher. And she's also got new stuff to share because she went to Marketing Impact Academy with Charlene, which is pretty cool. Before we get into that, we kind of wanted to handle some housekeeping stuff. So I'm going to start with that. I see chat box. Oh. Tara, were you dancing? Did I miss it?
No, but I thought it was like the perfect song for her to start doing her salsa.
Okay. So if you saw my live video in the team page today, then you probably know what I'm going to talk about already. Our team calls have been a little bare, I guess is the word for it. And to be transparent with you guys, I mean, we had our kind of like Team Evolve rebirth a couple months ago when we were talking about reintroducing these team calls, and we kind of told you that the reason that we fell off in the beginning or like before was because we were doing weekly calls, and then it kind of like it kind of dwindled down to like nobody. There was like 5 people showing up consistently, and and Lindsay and I talked, and we're like, as a leader, I'm going to tell you that can be frustrating because you spend this time planning these calls, and we do an extra call together every week to talk about these calls, to come up with topics, and to plan them, and to make sure that we're adding value to your lives. And so we started to get a little bit frustrated because no one was showing up, and we're like, why are we showing up? No one else is showing up. And honestly, that's not a good leader mindset, and we realized that after the fact. But we had gone to bi-weekly calls at that point. We're like, maybe we only need 2 a month. And then after that, no one was showing up. And so we're like, okay, well, maybe we don't need calls at all. And so we went to live video instead. And that's kind of when the team started to crumble. And so we realized that that was a mistake, but we brought them back, and everything was fantastic in the beginning. We did a poll. We asked like, what's the best day? What's the best time? Obviously, we cannot accommodate everybody. That's just not realistic. But we did our best to go with the majority. And then when Mindy asked you guys why you weren't showing up for the calls, and I'm not talking to you specifically because you're on the calls, obviously. But she said, or most of the people said that the day and time didn't work. And so we're like, what? Like, we polled you. And so we're just trying to figure out, like, we want this to be valuable, and we want to honor everybody's time. You guys know we're big on honoring people's time because we know this is like, for most of us, is a part-time thing, right? Like, you guys all have jobs and families and obligations and things going on, and we don't want this to take over your life in any way. We don't want it to take over our lives either. So we're just trying to figure out like a good balance where it's like, we have these calls and we feel good about it, and we plan this content, and we have people showing up. And I know you guys get that, because I know you guys don't want to spend time on things that nobody is appreciating either, right? Like, you probably have done that before, where you do something on Facebook and nobody likes it, and you're like, why did I just do that? So that's kind of where we're at. Like, we just really want, we want this to be effective. And so we're kind of brainstorming and thinking, like, what can we do to change things? So here's what we've come up with. And this isn't going to be like the ultimate solution, because everyone still has different schedules, right? So we can't accommodate everybody, but we're doing our best to kind of feel it out. And we'll try this, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll go from there. And if we need to adjust again, then we will. So since Sundays seem to be a bad day for most people, because I think a lot of you who have full-time jobs, you're getting ready for your job for the week. And it's the last chance to spend time with your family, and the last chance to kind of get your meal prepping done and all of that. It's just not working. So we're going to move it to Tuesdays. We're going to do team calls on Tuesdays starting on March 6th, which is not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. Mindy will be updating the team calendar for us. So starting on the 6th, we'll do team calls on Tuesday, but we're going to keep the 8:30 time because we can't go earlier. It just won't work. Earlier isn't good for people, but later isn't good for people like Lindsay because she's getting up so early to get her workouts done and she has to get to bed. I know a lot of you can relate to that too. So 8:30 is kind of a middle ground, I think. So we're going to keep it there and we're going to do Tuesdays. Now, we also, we don't want it to be the Erica and Lindsay show because we only have, I mean, we want to share with you, but we only have so much. I mean, we have our own strengths, right, and our own weaknesses, and so do you guys. So we did a few calls where we had guest speakers, and like we pulled from you guys, and we thought that was great. We want to do more of that. So we're putting this responsibility on you. So after this call, I'm going to post in the team page a Google document, a Google sheet. It just says a date, name, and topic. And I only did it through June because I have a feeling that if I did it through the end of the year, I would have everyone signing up for November and December because you guys want to put it off. I would probably do the same thing. And I don't want that to happen. I want to kind of fill it up until June, and then I'll go from there. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to think about what your strengths are, and you're going to think about what you're good at and what you can add to the team. Like what kind of value can you add to the team? Maybe there's something you're not really good at, but you want to be good at, and you want to take the time to really learn it. Maybe that's the topic that you choose. But either way, I want you to think about kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I know talking on calls or, things like this, it's scary. I get it. I don't really enjoy it myself, to be honest with you. Like I'd rather be in the background. But the thing is that the more you do it, the more confident you get. And the more confident you are, the better coach you are, the better leader you become. And the whole coaching thing starts to feel more natural to you. If you've never step out of your comfort zone and you never take that leap, and Michelle, I'm talking to you because I know Michelle feels the same way. Every time I ask her to speak on something, she wants to throw up and she wants to tell me no. But she doesn't tell me no. She does it anyway. And every single time when she's done, she says, "Thank you for asking me," because it's good for you. Like it makes you step outside your comfort zone and it makes you grow as a person and as a leader in this business. So even like if you want to throw up right now thinking about talking on a team call, that's awesome. That's what we want. Mindy will tell you to drink some Energize. And I know Erica was a little nervous about the webinar and Linnea, and they killed it. They did so good. So, and I bet you they felt amazing after and kind of felt a little bit more confident. So you are going to think about what you can add to the team calls, and it's not just going to be you. Like we're not just going to like hand over the call to you and say good luck for 30 minutes. You'll just have a little like 10, 15 minutes of like, what can you share with people? What are you good at? And then we will kind of do what we do with like housekeeping and things like that. So make sure that you do that. If nobody's signing up, we will hunt you down and we will make you do it. So I think that is it. Am I missing anything, Lindsay?
We need to do our shout outs.
Oh yes, sorry. Okay, I'll go while I'm talking and then I'll hand it over to you. So I wanted to shout out Heather Bensinger today because she's freaking awesome. Like, I don't know if you guys follow her on Instagram or on Facebook even. Like, her posts are so vulnerable and real, and she really like lets you know who she is, and I really love that about her. She's super consistent. She's always being a cheerleader for other people. Like every time I'm scrolling through posts, I always see her name. She's always commenting on things and encouraging other people, and she just hit Emerald, so she's like triple awesome. And I thought that photo that Stacy shared was really funny. She's not afraid to be a goofball, which I really, really love. So that was mine. Go ahead, Linz.
I had actually picked her too, but I had somebody else in mind as well because you are a rock star, Heather. But I also wanted to shout out Lindsay Wythe. Am I saying her last name right? Guys, she is like, she's in the hospital and she's showing up in the team page. And she is sharing her story on her Facebook page still. And I don't see her on here right now. So obviously maybe she's not feeling great right now, but she had every intention of being on the team call tonight, which is just amazing. Like, that's above and beyond. That, like, she has every excuse not to be here, and she's still showing up, and that just blows my mind. I don't know if any of you are following Raina right now, but Raina is going through a lot medically too, and Lindsay reminds me of her. Like, Lindsay is not giving up. She's not using it as an excuse. She's showing up every day. She's doing the best she can with what she's being given right now, and it's so amazing to see where she was when she started with Beachbody and where she is today, regardless of all the excuses she has today. So she's a rock.
I agree. Mindy,
oh, and there she is. Lindsay, we love you.
Oh, there you go. I wanted to add before I pass this over to Lindsay, just about the whole team call thing. Is like, we know, like, we get it that it's really difficult at night, and we have our own nights when we're like, we don't really want to get on a team call. We want to go sit in bed. And so we get it. We really do. But this business is really important to us, and I'm guessing it's important to you guys too. If you're either on this call or if you listen to the recording, it's obviously important to you. And every business requires sacrifice if you're going to be a business owner. And I get it. Like, we have kids and we are all busy and there's always something going on. And for sure, there's times when you just cannot make it. Like, I was sick last week. I said, Lindsay, can you do the call? Because, like, my throat hurt so bad I wasn't about to talk.
But Erica still showed up and listened.
Yeah. And you
give yourself that credit, because, I mean, you could have just said, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, and it's important to me. And, like, it wasn't, I really wanted to just go to bed. But I think that's not to say, like, I'm not trying to say, like, we're better than you because I showed up when I was sick. Like, that's not the point. It's just more like, just try to get creative, you know? Think about, how can I still make this work? You know, maybe you have kids and you don't have a supportive husband who's going to help you with bedtime. What can you do to kind of make it work? Can you throw an earbud in while you're laying next to your child while they're going to sleep? You know, like, there's different ways. You don't have to be present on video in order to listen and stuff like that. So just think about that. Like, think about, is this important to me and can I make it work? Because I think this, like, human connection here is super important. All right.
Hey, Erica, quick question. So did people want to do Tuesdays, or you just picked that day?
Nope. We picked it because when we picked Sunday, we polled and most people said Sunday, but now Sunday's not really working. So figured if we did another poll with days, we'd run into the same problem. There's going to be people who can't do Tuesdays, and there's people who whatever. So we did it based on our schedules. Can you not do Tuesdays?
No, I was just curious where Tuesday came from. I mean, I just
Wednesday is like a big church day for a lot of people, so we didn't want to do Wednesdays. And Lindsay has a mastermind call on Thursdays. We obviously don't want to have you on Friday nights.
Right.
So that kind of limited us. But like I said, we're going to try it out and see. Yeah. And if we have 4 people showing up on Tuesdays, we're going to have to change it. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think either way, I think there's always a way, you know. I just know that I'm more tired in general during the week because I'm working every day, and Sundays, like, you know, where I'm doing laundry, I'm on my bed right now. But, you know, I mean, I think when you want something, you just find a way. So I'll find a way.
I agree. All right. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Alrighty. So we're talking about storytelling, and this is something that we have been talking about ever since you signed up to coach. This is what we have told you from the beginning. We're not selling, we're storytelling. And so we've been saying that, but some people still struggle with how to make your story short enough for people to listen to. what is your story? What parts of your story do you need to be sharing? That kind of thing. So we got some really, really good training at the Marketing Impact Academy about storytelling. In fact, I would say the majority of our training there was about storytelling and using the stories feature on Instagram and Facebook, and just in general going live more. Now, I'm not saying your story always has to be told through video, but I know that we've already said this on a team call this year. Facebook wants you to go live. Look at Mindy over there with her energized. Facebook wants you going live. So if you're going live, more people are going to see you. More people need to be engaging with your live video. So before I go into the storytelling thing and how I kind of laid out my story and planned it, I'm going to share that with you so that you guys can use it to start sharing your own. And then I'm going to give you a challenge at the end of this. So you may want a pen and paper. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to get one if you don't have one right now, because I think you're going to want to take notes tonight. And I also am going to give you a little bit of homework tonight. And on Tough Love Tuesday, I am going to ask you to check in with what you've done as far as your story is concerned. So make sure you're plugged in now. All right, so when you're going live on Facebook, again, you don't always have to tell your story this way, but I'm going to give you a few tips that Shalene gave us so that you have them when you do go live. She is really good, if you follow her at all, about saying, if you guys are live with me right now, do hashtag Shalene's squad or whatever it is that her hashtag is. And she, like, as people are popping up, she's having them hashtag, letting her know that they're on live with her. But then also for every single one of those comments, it's boosting the views of her Facebook Live. So in the beginning of her Facebook Live, she's like, all right, guys, if you're with me right now, I want you to say hashtag live with Shalene or hashtag Shalene's squad, Shalene's tribe, whatever, my people, my family. And then she always says, do not post in your Facebook post, go check me out on Instagram. Don't, like, if you're making a title for your live video, don't say check out Instagram or check out this or check out that. You can say it verbally, but don't write it, because as soon as you write that, Facebook pretty much says this video is going nowhere, because they don't want you to take your eyes from Facebook to something else. They want you to keep them on Facebook. So if you're advising people in your writing to go to your Instagram stories or something else, stop doing it, because it is going to make that post get buried. Do not wait for viewers. So don't, like, I know there's all these people that I'll pop on their live video and they're like, I'm just going to wait for a couple people to pop on. There's one in particular who's like, I'm just going to sip my ketones here and wait for people to hop on with me. And I'm always like, okay, I'm not watching this anymore. But don't do that. The longer that you have to grab people's attention in the first 10 seconds, primarily because most people aren't going to watch your video live. They're going to watch the replay. And so if for the first 60 seconds of your video, you're just like hanging out, sipping your Shakeology, waiting for people to join you, they're going to be like, this is lame. I don't know why I would watch this. And they're just going to get off of it. So it's not going to do you any good. When people start logging on or popping up as viewing, be like, Lindsay, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Erica, how you doing, girl? And, oh, hey, Heather, haven't seen you in a while. Hope things are good. How's the kids? You need to be personally engaging with people as they pop up. Don't be like, hey, guys, how's everybody doing? You don't want it to be like super general and generic. You want it to be very personalized, like you're one-on-one FaceTiming with the person right then, because that's going to keep them engaged and it's going to make them comment back to you. And again, the more comments that are coming up on your video as it's rolling, the higher up it's going to start being boosted by Facebook. She gives like a general formula or recipe for videos, and this is where you're going to definitely want to start taking notes. She says one of the first things you need to do in order to grab attention is identify a problem. So I don't know, maybe you're going live about the flu and you're like, I am a teacher and kids are sneezing and coughing and touching me and I don't know what to do anymore. This is a problem. And, you need to like really get people's attention right away, either with humor, whatever you're going to do. Tell them why they need to stay plugged in to what you're sharing. So this is a problem. These kids are touching me, sneezing on me. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing to fix this, to make sure that I don't get the flu, because I was one of those people that didn't get the flu shot this year. Sue me. Ask people as people are joining in, you can even say, oh, hey, I noticed we just had more people join us. Will one of you do me a favor? And in the comments, just kind of update everybody on what I've said so far, because they've missed what I said at the beginning, and I want to get them up to speed without having to repeat myself. So again, you're asking people to start commenting. You're going to get a ton of people doing that right away. And it's going to boost your post, but it's also going to keep you from going back and doing the repeat all the time, because people are going to start asking, what are you talking about? Instead, you just want other people to do that for you. Cut to the story. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Highlight what's important. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be waiting for people and all that. And don't spend a ton of time welcoming people to the video. Do 2 or 3 and then move on. Give people a reason to go back and watch the beginning. So about halfway through your video, that's when some people might be popping on for the first time, and you're going to want to tell them. Now, those of you that are just logging on with me right now, you've heard me talk about this bracelet I'm wearing where I put oil on it and it's keeping me from getting the flu. Make sure you go back to the beginning of my video and listen to what I said earlier about yada, yada, yada. Because you're going to want to know that before you buy this or something like that. Content performs better the longer people view it. So make sure that, people are joining in the middle. You want to encourage them to go back to the beginning at the end after you're done being live and watch, just because the more they view it, the more boosts it's going to get on Facebook. Again, keep asking them to comment things. Be like, do any of you use oils? Or I'm just using this as an example because this is something I've recently been talking about. Always end with a call to action. And the call to action can be, message me if you have some advice on how to keep the flu bug out of my house or something like that. So that's just some general information on going live on Facebook. Don't add captions to your live video before you go live. Add the captions to your live video after you go live. The more often you do it, the quicker you grow. So be trying to go live minimum once a week is what Shalene advised. If you don't go live ever, then I would make that your goal starting now, to start going live at least once a week. I know I need to work on that myself. As far as stories go, I'm not going to go too hardcore into using Instagram stories or Facebook stories, because I feel like that could be another call. But just know that no one's going to find you in your Instagram stories or in your Facebook stories. You have to find them. So Erica has said this before. When you share something on stories and you see all the people that are viewing it, you have to look at the people that are viewing it and then go through and start clicking on them and engaging with them. Shalene does the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. Salita, when I say caption, so when you go live, you can like give it a title or something and it gives you some words above the video. That's what the caption is. So go back and worry about doing that after you wrap up your video. Just kind of get people's attention with it the first time and then go back and make it pretty or whatever you want to do. Stories are really intended to be used to document your day. If you guys followed my stories today, they went from me pushing play this morning to taking my kids to the grocery store this afternoon. Like, it was all really just basic stuff that you don't think people care about, but people care about it, because I know that almost everyone on this call has had someone say to them, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you stay so motivated. I don't know how you wake up so early. I don't know how you're doing this. You're like Superwoman. And I'm like, no, I drink coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning. and I take my kids to the grocery store, and I just at some point decided I needed to do something. And so I started doing it, and this works for me. And that's what you're showing them by sharing your story. You're not necessarily, you don't need to be Jatana Jackson. You don't need to be like editing your videos. You do not, Shalene will tell you, you need to have a full face of makeup and your hair done every time you go live. I'm here to tell you that those are not my tribe. So that's not me. I pretty much never have a full face of makeup and rarely have my hair done. So I don't worry about that when I'm going live. If you saw my stories from this morning, I still had last night's mascara on my face from the beach. But that's just me. And that's part of why people connect with me, because that's them too. So you just need to decide what's best for you as far as your appearance and where you're going to be filming and that kind of thing. Yeah, I did have some stuff in my teeth this morning too, and I realized it after I posted the video. So then, of course, I had to go back and point it out to everybody in case they didn't see it. But those are the things that help people connect with me, because I'm an idiot and they're idiots too, and we can be idiots together, and we can be fit idiots. I don't know. But that. Just be you. Don't feel like you have to be doing something spectacular to share. It's just life, and people are interested in what other people do. It's the way it is. I had someone message me on Facebook the other day, and it was to the picture. I take a picture of my 4 a.m. breakfast every morning before I work out. And she messaged me and was like, I love watching your routine every day. You are so committed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would think people would think seeing my peanut butter toast, spinach and eggs would be really lame. But she likes it. Hey, keep watching because you'll keep getting it. And then just make sure that when you do share in your stories, it's small, it's frequent, and it's throughout the whole day. I know some of us work, so it's kind of hard. I've been working really hard to share more of my classroom stuff while I'm in my classroom throughout the day, because Shalene did say you can't just share in the morning and then not share at all until evening, because you're missing, there's this huge gap there that you're missing. And if people notice that you're only sharing stuff in the morning, they might just stop watching, or they may never even see it at all, because you'll notice the little people that float above your screen when you go into Instagram or on Facebook stories, they change all the time. It's not in a particular order based on who posted most recently. It's who's most engaging. So the people that you're seeing the most are the ones who are engaging the most with the tool. All right, so I think that's where I'm gonna end with the Instagram stories, and now I'm really gonna lean in on your story. So this is where you need to decide what your real story is. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. A lot of us have a really intense story. Like, there are lots of pieces to our stories. And so tonight might be about identifying that major story. And then, like every good novel, you have a lot of subplots. I don't know where my language arts teachers are in the house, but every book has like a big plot, you know, with all these events that happen and a big climax and all that. But then there's also all these little subplots, because if a book is 400 pages, your life is 35 years, wherever you're at right now. If only one exciting thing happened in that entire time, we would probably put the book down before we got to the exciting thing. And it's the same way with our stories. Like, our life is not all about that one thing that brought us to Beachbody. There are lots of little exciting things, parts of our story that are actually huge components to our story. And so you need to figure out ways to share those as well. When you think about your story as a whole, think about it also as like, okay, well, what's this little chunk? What's this little chunk? What's this little chunk? It's like exactly how I teach my kids to read a piece of text, how to chunk it up. And you're going to have to figure out a way to do that with your story. And that's kind of what I'm going to break down for you tonight. So something that Brock Johnson did was he really showed us the value in figuring out your story, and then taking that story and making it really small, but a huge impact. And the way he did that at first was he shared a 6-word story with us. It was written by Ernest Hemingway, And this is it. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. And that's an entire story right there in 6 words. And what an impact that story makes. And that was a huge message to me. Like, I know so many of us, when we start talking on these calls, where we feel like we're being long-winded, or we start writing something and it's like this long and we have to go back and chop it all up so that people will actually read it, because we just have this tendency to over talk something. And he really showed that stories should not be complicated at all. They can be super, super simple. And you just need to make sure that when you're sharing your story, you're making people care about whatever it is you're sharing. I mean, if it's about a pair of shoes, make people care about those shoes. If it's about the swing set in your backyard, make them care about the swing set in your backyard. And you can do that. If it's important to you, you can find a way to communicate that to everybody. So that was his big message. Make sure that your story is very personal. We don't want to know about what all these other women are experiencing. We don't want to know about the person in your challenge group who is having amazing results, regardless of the fact that she's got, I don't know, thyroid disorder or something. We want to know your story. Now, I'm not saying it's never okay to share somebody else's story, but you want to make sure that the majority of what you're sharing belongs to you, because the people who are watching it aren't connecting with your challengers. They're not connecting with the other coaches on your team. They're connecting with you. There's a reason why they've chosen to follow you. You need to focus on emotion. You are not a news reporter. This is probably why storytelling is really, it comes naturally to me, because I'm such an emotional person to a fault. But you need to make sure that you are not removing your emotion from your story. You know, like news reporters, when they're sharing about something, I'm like, how are they not sobbing right now sharing this? Like, I don't understand. That's their job, but it's not our job. Our job is actually to be emotional and share that emotion. I went back, I went live last year last year, and I cried almost through the whole video, and I rewatched it today, and I started crying again, because I know how I felt that day. I know how I felt when I made that video, and I am so relieved that I made the decision I made. Last year, I was debating whether or not to leave my job and take this new job. And this year, I'm a different person now. Like, I am a happier human being now because I did that. Thank God I shared that, because it's nice to go back and relive those emotions. It's also that video's had almost 2,000 views, because people want to know. They want to know what's going on in your life, and they want to know they're not the only person who's experiencing it. And me crying, I did have one negative comment, I remember, after I watched it last year. I had a man from home be like, keep crying on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And I reached out to him and I was like, I deleted your comment. I hope you don't mind. It was negative, and I try to surround myself with positivity. I thought about what you said, and I do want you to know I am much happier than I was a couple months ago or a couple years ago. And I couldn't say that then. Not that I needed to explain to him, but I wanted him to understand why I was sharing my emotion. There's so many more people reaching out saying, thank you for sharing that, than there are people who are like, you're stupid, you're crying on Facebook. So don't worry about that. Let your emotion show through. It's really important to show everybody that you're a human being. You're not a robot. You're not someone who like just automatically rolls out of bed at 4 a.m. every day and just makes it happen because you're programmed that way. Share it. Share that it's hard. Practice, practice, practice. So if that means that you need to hold your phone up and videotape yourself and then rewatch yourself, do it. And actually part of my call to action at the end of the call tonight is going to help you with that. Keep a list of stories. So this is probably the most valuable tool that he gave. This is where it comes into play, where you don't just have one major story. Yes, we're all living a story right now, but there are so many smaller stories that go along with it. So, I mean, for example, you could tell a story about what happened while you were at the farmer's market this morning. You could tell a story about, Thursday was a really rough day at school with my students. And I had texted Sarah saying, this is the first day that I am not like reaching into the cookie jar to cheat on this meal plan because I'm so stressed out, and I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to. And I didn't. And that's a story. That's a story to tell right there. Friday was a horrible day at school. I didn't share this with the majority of the team. We had a threat at our school that caused things to get shut down and metal detectors to be put in. And it was one of my kids in my classroom. That's not a story I can really share publicly. It's already been shared a little bit from our principal, but it's the police are involved and the student is gone. He's going to an alternative school. And so it's not really a story I'm legally allowed to share. But I can share bits and pieces. And I did that a little bit this morning just by saying Friday was hard. So yesterday, completely unplugged and spent the day with my family, and did my workout today that I was supposed to do yesterday, because I just decided yesterday I was spending time with the people that I love, because Friday was like a slap in the face to me. Like anything can happen anywhere. Those are the little stories, and you can keep them in a list in your phone so that you never forget them. You can keep them in a list so that you have them to pull from when you feel uninspired. I know that I've said before, I'll write up a post and keep it until I can use it. You can do the same thing just with a list of stories. Like, this is something that I want to share at some point. And when you share it, you can either erase it from that list, or you can keep it there because you can share it again. Because someone who sees your story today or hears your story today may not see it in 2 weeks, or someone who would see it in 2 weeks may not have seen it the first time you shared it. Believe in yourself. Your story is worth sharing. I know, because I live it. I know. I even said this to Christy and Sarah and Skylar and Anna one night while we were having our challenge group meeting. I was like, I just don't feel like I have anything to share during the day. Like, who wants to see what I'm doing in my classroom? But then I started sharing it, and a lot of people want to see what I'm doing in my classroom. And I really thought it was stupid, but it's not. Like, that is what I do. It's how I make this work for me. And people want to see that because they're in similar situations. So stop thinking that your story is smaller than somebody else's story. Stop thinking that your story is not important, because it is, and people want to hear it. I think that's all that he really went into about stories. Mainly, the big takeaway was start sharing. Does my district say anything about posting during the day? So I try not to post while kids are in my room. I will go around and take video or pictures while my kids are in my room. But as long as it is education related, I'm allowed to post. If I was like just posting about my kids, or like missing my kids or something like that during the day, I would be in trouble. But because I'm allowed to share what I'm doing in the classroom publicly, so that means that as long as it's education related, I can do that. Yeah, Jackie says she's not allowed to put her kids in social media at all. Jenna, I don't do anything like that. I don't even post in our challenge group during the day, because at my last school, somebody was doing LuLaRoe, and they were doing LuLaRoe in their Facebook group all day long. And it was a huge topic of conversation. So I've just stopped posting during the day. I don't even schedule posts for that time. Anything that gets posted by me in our challenge group is always scheduled for 3:00, mainly just to cover my own butt. But yeah, Jackie says she's not allowed to put her kids in social media. We are a national demonstration school for AVID. So all of our kids have permission to be on TV, in videos, in pictures. So that's why I'm allowed to do that. I do know that I follow a lot of teachers on Instagram, And some of them, when they're doing stories and a kid's face is in the picture, they put a big emoji over it or they blur it out so you can't see it. So you could share that stuff. Something else I share during the day is like if I'm reading my personal development book on my planning period, I'll share a snap of that. Or if I read it in the morning, I'll take a picture and share it on my planning period. Something else is like when my kids turn in work, like right now they're working on these incredible stories in my science class. And I've already taken pictures of some and I plan on sharing it once they start evolving. And tomorrow they're going to start doing like peer editing and conferencing and things like that with them. And then they're going to illustrate them. So I've been taking pictures as we go so that I can share that. Later on, once it's done and ready, that's not having a picture of a kid on there. And I always white out their name just because nobody needs to know what one student is doing compared to another. Even when I put them in the hallway, I try to do that. I'm just reading some of these other questions before I go into the homework piece. Any tips to help the fear of going live other than practice? So like what Mindy says, just do it. But really, if it's something super scary, I don't know, Anastasia, I don't know. I think you have kids, don't you have kids? Yes. Okay. Have a baby on your hip. So like I do that sometimes and I feel like the live video is normally really crazy, but people love babies. And so even if I'm kind of fumbling over my words or something, they're okay with it. Or it might just make you more comfortable to have that person with you, even though it's a baby. I would say start off super short. Start off with maybe on Instagram stories, doing the 15-second clips when you're live instead of doing going live on Facebook right away. Because you're still kind of live doing that on Instagram, even though you record it and then click the plus sign to upload it. But it does give you like a basic, idea of what it feels like to go live. I would also share that. Like, guys, this is my first time going live. I don't have a freaking clue what I'm doing. I'm really nervous right now, sweating, but I'm going to do this because this has made a huge difference in my life. And so I am going to start sharing with you because if it makes as big of an impact on me, I want to pay it forward. And so if it makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, just own it. Let that be part of your story. Let it be part of the emotion in your story. Because again, someone who sees you doing that might think, I don't know how she does that. There is no way I would do that. And then you might start saying, I am dying right now. Like, I'm going to pee myself because I'm so scared. And they'll be like, oh, well, she's scared too. Maybe I could do that if I was a coach or something, it'll really help them to connect with you.
The other thing you can do if you're really nervous, I don't know if this will help you, I think it would help me, is post in the team page and say, I'm about to go live. Can you guys hop on and like just support me? Because I know when I do a live video and I have nobody there and I'm like talking to myself, it's a lot worse than if I have people that I know that I'm comfortable with. And like I can always count on Mindy to hop on live, and that as silly as it sounds, like it makes me feel better to know like that a friend is there. And so you can hop in the team page and just say, I'm going to go live right now. Can you guys hop on and just like comment and support me? And we will. Mindy is always everywhere, Jackie. She's everywhere.
All right. So Erica shared a graphic that she created with the 4 questions in it from Melanie Mitro's podcast. I hope everybody has listened to that. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you, do not try to do this homework until you listen to it, because the homework has directly to do with what she talks about in the podcast, plus what I took away from Brock Johnson's training at Marketing Impact Academy. And if you don't have her podcast in your mind, you're probably going to really struggle with this. And if this is something that makes you uncomfortable, you need to surround yourself with more training. I just stumbled across that video of Jatana Jackson's, and I'm pretty sure I have seen it before, but I shared it in the team page again about Instagram stories. She's really good at Instagram stories. So just if this is something that you struggle with, but I'm telling you, it will propel your business forward. So if you want to continue growing, you need to do it. You need to do the things that make you uncomfortable. Then listen to the podcast and start surrounding yourself with personal development that's going to help you in that area. So the 4 questions were, who are you and where have you been? What happened in your life to cause you to look for more? How have you heard about your company, or how did you hear about your company? And why did you choose to be part of it? And what is it doing for you, or what is it going to do for you in the future? So what I did is I took those questions and I wrote them down in my notebook. And underneath, I didn't do complete sentences because maybe you're someone who needs a script when you go live. I'm actually the opposite. I have a few bulleted points, like even for this call tonight. It's just a few bulleted points. And if I try to write it all out, I'm going to be a mess because I'm going to try to follow the dialogue. If I just go with the flow, that's much better for me. I think maybe because I'm a teacher, that's just what I need. I need flexibility. I just need talking points. So I just put down, like, for who I am and where I've been. It's real simple, guys, because she says keep this 60 seconds. So there's 4 questions. So each question should only take you about 15 seconds to get out. Who are you and where have you been? I'm a wife, teacher, and mom. I was struggling to define who I am. Very quick and easy right there. What happened in your life to cause you to look for more? I had postpartum depression. I didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life, so I started hunting for a holistic approach. How did you hear about your company, and why did you choose to be part of it? A friend of mine was doing Beachbody, and I was searching for a lifestyle. I did not want a quick fix. I wanted something that was going to cure me, not put a Band-Aid on me, and this was the only thing I could find. What is it doing for you, or what will it do for you in the future? I'm here today. I'm not sitting on a Old Navy fitting room floor crying every time I go try things on. I'm not having a panic attack in the produce section of Food Lion. I'm able to function, and more than function, live a happy, fulfilling life and be the mom I want to be to my kids. Very simple. Now, that's very choppy, but when I go ahead and start turning it into sentences and start sharing that story, it's going to flow. Now, it could easily turn into me sharing too much, but I just need to practice sharing. Jackie, I think it was episode 38 or 37. It was, I don't even remember what it was called. It's like 20 minutes. It's not long. But you need to answer those questions, because answering those questions will really help you to define your story. Now, is all of my story revolving around postpartum depression? No, I've got a whole other story called Baby Number 2. I've got a whole other story called Lindsay Finds a New Job. I've got a whole other story about other things that are going on in my life. But this is just the story I'm choosing to talk about today. Now, I'm telling you that you need to start going live. I'm telling you that you need to start sharing your story in video format. However, a lot of us there's still a lot of value in posting on Instagram and posting on Facebook. Now, again, video on Facebook is the way to go. But I know that a lot of us are still posting regularly. So then what I did is I took my answers to those questions, because Melanie is advising us to start sharing that in video format. What I did is I drew 4 boxes at the bottom. I'm like super creative here, y'all. I drew 4 boxes here at the bottom, and these are what I'm calling my still frame storytelling. So I'm not just always going to do my storytelling in video form. I'm also still going to do it in still frames. So that means now what I need to do is, just from these 4 questions for that one part of my story, I am challenging myself to come up with 4 images that I could share to share that story. So if I'm just talking about my postpartum journey with postpartum depression and how this has helped me to overcome that, sorry, I know I'm way over time right now. One of the images that I can use is being in a dressing room and talking about the fact that the last time 3 years ago when I was in a dressing room, I was sobbing on the floor because I was so just defeated with my body and just feeling really guilty about even buying myself something because I had a child at home. Then I need to come up with another still frame image. So your homework is to, number one, choose a piece of your story or choose 2 pieces, whatever you want to challenge yourself with this week. But by Tuesday, you need to choose at least 1 piece of your story. You need to answer all 4 questions for that story. And then you need to come up with 4 still frame images that you could use. They do not need to be things you take a picture of today. They could be a picture of you a year ago. They could be a before and after picture. They could be, I don't know, maybe it's a picture of the Oreo package unopened on your countertop because you're talking about the fact that you're no longer addicted to Oreos. Whatever it needs to be, pull something. Make it a personal picture. Don't make it something you pull off the internet or a quote, because those aren't things that are engaging people. Make sure it's something about you. You need to answer the 4 questions, come up with 4 still frame images so that you can share that story with still frames. And you need to find a partner. It could be your success partner. It can be somebody else on the team, whoever you want it to be. But you and your partner are going to actually record yourself sharing your story. And it needs to be 60 seconds or less. If your story that you send your partner is 65 seconds, you need to redo it and make it 60. And I know I sound like a hard ass when I say that, but it's important because people stop listening after 60 seconds. So you are going to record yourself sharing your story, just like the outline right here that I shared. And you're going to record it 60 seconds, send it to your partner, and they're going to give you feedback. And you're going to take that feedback and you're going to re-record it. And you're going to send it to them again. And yes, this is going to be annoying and monotonous and scary, but you've picked somebody who is valuable to you because they mean something to you and you respect and appreciate their feedback. That's why you've chosen them. So you're going to videotape yourself, send it to them. They're going to give you feedback. And on Tuesday, I'm going to have you actually share your video in the comments underneath my Tough Love Tuesday post. And there's going to be, number one, that's going to get your ants out of your pants about going live and sharing video because it won't be so scary anymore. And you're going to have tons of feedback and you will have already done the practice piece. But number 2, I'm going to pull from the comments at the end of the night for a prize. Because if you guys are willing to go all in and videotape yourself, yes, this Tuesday, I know that doesn't give you a lot of time, but it's a 60-second clip. So you just need to answer the 4 questions, videotape it, send it to your partner. That's it. I'm going to give you a prize just for like saying I'm doing this, I'm in. And then within the week, get that video down, get it down to a point where you are comfortable. If you need to, do the 15-second thing on Instagram. Do it every day for 4 days in a row. The people who watched you today may not watch you tomorrow. The people who watch you on Wednesday may not have even known you existed on Sunday. So it's okay to share your story over and over again. Once you're comfortable doing it on the 15-second thing where you can erase it if you feel like you didn't do a good job, I want you to go live. So before our call on March 6th, I want everybody to go live on their Facebook page or on Instagram sharing their story in 60 seconds or less. That's the challenge. Are we pairing off or just you can say to someone, Heather, can I send my video to you? Will you give me feedback? And she can say, yeah, sure. And she may even say, I'll send you mine too. That way you're just swapping, or just pick somebody to send it to and see if they'll give you some feedback. Ask them first, because if they've already, if they're already doing something with someone else, they may feel like it's too much. They won't be able to give you good feedback if they're already overwhelmed. But yes, you need to, this is something we need to get comfortable with. It's something that we need to practice, and it's something we're going to need feedback on. And so it's important to go to someone and get the feedback and take it as constructive criticism. Don't take it offensively. Don't ever take it offensively. And that's all I got. And I am sorry that I went so far over. Is there anything you want to say, Erica, before we close up?
Nope, I think we got it all. I think that was really useful. So hopefully you guys are in and you're up for the challenge. I think it will definitely help you grow. And listen, this call was not nearly as long as Summer Tucker's. So be thankful, because every call could be an hour or 2. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.